We have a big problem. We've got so many alerts that people are ignoring them.
We need more people to address all of the alerts that we're having, or we could look at another solution.
And the other problem is, of course, we keep getting the same alerts over and over again, meaning we can't get to the backlog of alerts that we have.
And we need a lot of new tooling to solve all of this problem because there's so much noise in our alerts.
If we invest in something that organizes all of our workloads so we know which ones are the priorities, I think we have a solution.
And that solution will be mapped to the NIST framework and any other high level words that you don't understand because you're all board members.
And those, those words will make sure that we drive the right alerts to the right teams to fix them in the right sets of time.
And they will be mapped to the business impacts so that you understand the financial and reputational risk that we are protecting.
Working with so many customers in cloud as they were moving to cloud, scan any given cloud and do a risk, and you would just end up with 10,000 problems. And it was overwhelming. Some of it was you had a whole bunch of developers doing innovation. So they were doing interesting things, but it wasn't important data. So it didn't matter. You didn't need to set off alarms there. You had scenarios where people just didn't know what they were doing when they built it, which caused huge numbers of things. And then there was obviously, all of these cloud systems are very powerful, but also with that had lots of misconfigurations. So we just ended up with huge amounts of alert fatigue in this area. Why did we do that? Well, there were many different problems, of course. As you say, you're scanning too many things with the wrong types of scanners. You're having scenarios where you're sending them all to the SOC. So, or Shawn's team ends up with all these alerts that they didn't intend to get in the first place. And of course, there's no context around them. So you don't know, is this an innovation zone? Is it our most critical data? What is this? And so you had to stitch all that together to try to reduce that noise. And, there's ways to deal with it, but in the initial scanning of let's just go scan it. Again, I work in cloud, but same thing for enterprise. I want to scan the whole thing with this CIS benchmark. Okay, well, there's 10,000 problems. What are you going to do with that? Right.
Shawn, what is your first reaction when you see 10,000 problems?
We're clearly missing a couple 100,000 more.
Every workload probably needs a different level of maturity. If it's hey, this is public data and we're just putting it out on the public internet. Well, you don't need to be a very high level of maturity to secure that. Where if it's, your most sensitive data, then you need a very high level, you need zero trust type level of security or something crazy if you want to use a buzzword. But fundamentally, to gamify that, if you can have each team kind of have a score and, there's some great reward for being the one that's, they don't need to be at the highest level of maturity, but they're getting their stuff progressed to a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, actually people will gravitate towards that as long as what you're doing is not completely blocking them from doing the innovative stuff that they need to do in the first place.
Build a Star Wars SOC room, give your analysts an Atari stick controller. So you remember the classic one with just the single button on it, and they have to shoot down alerts to survive. I don't think this is a bad idea at all. It sounds, goes back to
the best recruiting thing you could ever do in your SOC. You will have more applications for analysts than you have ever had before. I think this is brilliant.
This is a great idea, particularly if we could turn this into a business, because when the user actually successfully clicks down the alert, that would be like an automated response back to it, because you can't just shoot down the alert. That's just deleting it. So that shooting down action would actually be a predefined response action. And now we're actually producing responses to the alerts, not just deleting them. First, I think you all need to toughen up. Andy and I were talking earlier, back in our day, we used to have to hunt out alerts and just to find them. But no, in seriousness, I think we get lost with particularly the SOCs being overwhelmed. Very few SOCs are adequately staffed, either between tooling or people. And so it's something that you're going to forget about and kind of just not look at, because it is a refining exercise, but it's something that's critical. By refining the alerts and spending some time once every sprint or once every month, you figure out your pattern, but take a step back and take that opportunity to refine your processes. In this case, refine the alerts and start to correlate them. When two alerts are for the same thing, correlate them to one, so you only get one alert. But understand that hierarchy of how the alerts work their way up to what level of criticality you need.